All right, so let's do a quick tour of ArcGIS Online. So I'm at arcgis.com. I'm just going to take you guys through a little tour, get down some of the navigating basics of using ArcGIS Online. We have some great activities lined up for you all in this module that'll give you some real good hands-on experience of using this content. So if I log in, it's going to bring me to my organizational page. So when you guys log in, you'll use your individual user account that you got through that K through 12 school bundle, the license that was provided to your school. It's going to bring you to your organizational page that'll look something like this with this ribbon across the top. We can click on these little dots to access all of the applications that are available on ArcGIS Online. So some really cool stuff here. You have story maps, which are a great way to kind of tell a story using data and maps as visualization tools. Survey 123 allows you to build custom surveys, which of course are tied to the location where that survey is performed. A lot of great tools out there and applications available. We can click on content to view all of the content that's associated with our own individual user account or groups that we're members of. For now, let's go over to map, and that's going to open up a new web map for us. So on the map here, you can click and drag to roll around. You can scroll up and down on your mouse or use the plus and minus buttons to zoom in and out. We can use the search bar on the top right to search for an area. So we can go over to Los Angeles, California, and currently we're looking at a base map that is an aerial imagery hybrid with some labels on there for places of interest and looks like streets, highways. We can change the base map by going to the base map gallery, and you can see a list of all the base maps that are made available on ArcGIS Online. One of my favorites is the dark gray canvas. You see a lot of that in the presentations. Really great base map, I think, if you're trying to make some of the features that you have added to your map really pop. If you don't need to necessarily see what's going on in the background there, if you're really trying to show what exists in the real world in that area, then you probably want to use something like imagery. But otherwise, you can play around with the base maps and kind of have some fun and make some nice looking maps. Alright, so let's see what happens if we search Compton and we can get ourselves over to where we were looking at that LA Transit study. Now let's say I wanted to make a bookmark for Compton so I can quickly return to this area from other places on the map. So I can add a bookmark. Then I can be anywhere else in the world on the map and quickly return to that area by clicking the bookmark. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some data. We can go over here to the ribbon on the top left. By clicking content, we can see what's in our map. So we currently don't have any data layers added, so we can add a data layer. We can search for layers within our own content on ArcGIS Online. We can use the Living Atlas, which is a large collection of data made available by Esri. We can add a layer from a web source or a file on our computer. For now, let's do the Living Atlas. And we're going to search public transit. If we click on any content, it's going to give us a description of that content, kind of what information is included in it, source, analysis available, that's through it. We can add it to the map by clicking here, or we can click the small plus icon. So that's going to add that vector data, right? Points to the map representing public transit stops in this area. We can go back to our content and click on this. By clicking this table icon, we can view the attributes associated with this layer. So here we see that location information and then all of this other attribute information that's associated with this layer. Similarly, we could change the symbology by clicking the style, change style icon. Let's leave it the same for now. So in the presentation, we did an analysis looking at density of available transportation stops. That was in the Analyze Pattern section, Calculate Density. Since I've already performed that, I can add that layer from my content. And we see it here. And so again, those darker purple areas representing the high density access or availability to public transit. Let's go ahead and turn that off. So I'll go back to my content. Just simply click the checkbox to turn it on and off. Or if I'd like to remove it, I could choose these three dots and just remove it from the map altogether. So let's add some more data from the Living Atlas. Now in the presentation I talked a lot about census data, and that's just because for me, seeing census data used in GIS is what really made it all click for me. It was immediately apparent kind of the ability that you have to really manipulate data and not only visualize it, but use it to analyze these patterns. So let's see what happens if we just search US Census. I mean, census data, they collect an incredible amount of information in the US Census. So here's my plug when it comes time to do the census: answer all the questions, answering them as accurately as you can, because real consequences come from that data, and if nothing else, it gives a great tool for us to be able to use for GIS analysis. So we can see things like populated places, household income. Let's look at the unemployment rate. Anytime you add a data layer to the map, you could zoom to that layer and it will show the full extent of that data. We can go to the legend to get an idea of what these varying colors represent. So here we have 2020 USA unemployment rate with averages from 4% to above 23%. Now the cool thing about this is this census data is available at multiple scales, right? So we can view this at a state level while looking at the whole country. We can zoom in to the state level and see things by county. We could zoom in further and look at it by zip code, even further by individual census tract and census block. So really cool capabilities out there. Now let's say we wanted to add some other data from our own ArcGIS Online account. Let's go ahead and search for layers, and I'm going to search plant species. So here we can see a plant species inventory for our project on the Lower Salt River. By adding it to the map, this immediately brings us to that area. We can switch to aerial imagery. Now, it's nice that this is already symbolized for us, but let's assume it wasn't. So we can go to our content, and sometimes when you pull a data layer in, it'll just be symbolized as a single symbol, right? So this is all the polygons that represent this data set. But if we want to symbolize it by something that means something, we can use the attribute information associated with that data layer to symbolize it. We can choose an attribute. So here we have common name of plant selected, and that's going to symbolize all of that information by the plant name. So this is an inventory of plant species that we've mapped using our drone imagery on the Lower Salt River Restoration Project. Now we could change the transparency of this layer. Sometimes it's helpful to be able to see through some of the data that you're looking at, or stack different data layers. We can view the attribute information by clicking on the table again. So again, we chose to symbolize by this attribute of common name. So that just kind of provides some of the basics of getting around in ArcGIS Online. You know, logging into your account, opening up a new web map, how to add layer. I really encourage, or how to add data. I encourage you guys to get in here, explore that living atlas. There is an insane amount of data available to use and analyze. Anything you can imagine is out there. And again, we have some great activities planned for you, so you guys will get some hands-on experience using this ArcGIS Online environment.